Welcome, friends, to the winter edition of the Bro Roadshow. And what's the Bro Roadshow? It's this show. If for open water, we're talking open water, and for ice, we talk ice. And we bring on guests that are big time in the ice belt. And one thing I want to find out, I hope everybody's getting on safe ice. Are you getting out and catching a few walleyes on Red Lake? And a big shout out to the folks of FM Walleye in Fargo for meeting Heather and I and coming to my seminar. It was a great crowd. Good to see everybody. I had a super time, and then drove on black ice halfway to St. Paul. And St. Paul was a good time. Fairly busy at times, and I seen razor augers flying out the door. I couldn't even believe it. And good to see everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming. But it was always fun. And I want to thank, before I get too carried away, I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for being an on-air sponsor. And if you ever think about getting a new car or getting your car fixed or oil change, go to Chesterburg Toyota. You would be amazed at what they have there. It's a state-of-the-art facility. Stop in, check out some new cars, say hi to Brian, get a cup of coffee. I stop there all the time. I always forget to bring change or any money in my wallet, so I go over there and I hang out all day. But Chesterburg Toyota is the place to check out. And then special thanks to Timberline Sports and Convenience in Black Duck. This is a place on the route going to Red Lake, Lake of the Woods, that has all kinds of bait. He's got everything known. And Carl and the gang there are sage fishermen from that area, so they know everything that's going on. Get minnows, get some St. Croix rods, get some clothing. Hey, good to see you, Adam. Get a pizza. You can get everything there. You get hunting stuff, buy a gun, get some ammo. And then again, Frank's Great Outdoors. These are some great people, and I really thank you for supporting us. Shanty Days is upon us. Make sure everybody, and Michiganders, make sure you go see Shanty Days. They have all the otter houses lined up and other stuff, other houses, but you can go in them and sit in them. And so I appreciate it when a store does that, because how do you know what you're going to buy? You sit in it. If you like it, the footprint, everything, then you buy it. So Shanty Days is at Frank's Great Outdoors, and that's this weekend. So make sure you go there. And then the Ultimate Sports Show in Novi, I'll be there. Novi, Detroit. I'm going to be there on hand doing seminars, and I will be helping out in ice. And their ice is a little bit later. They're cold, but they need the blast. And we got -11 outside my door here and some heavy winds. We are making insane amount of ice. And so appreciate all the sponsors there. And everybody, before I go any further, let's bring on Sam Larsen. And Sam is a man of many hats and designer, painter. He wins the Minnesota Walleye Stamp, Turkey Stamp, runner-up Turkey Stamp. Won tournaments, took lunch money away from many people, and he is a designer. And now you're a graphic designer, so welcome. Thanks for helping me out here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, bro. It's good to see you again. So, well, first of all, let's get into it. We got a giveaway tonight. So Northland's going to be giving away a bunch of stuff here. All the brand new spoons. We got the tungsten buckshot spoon in there, the tungsten slim spoon, the thumper spoon, which was my favorite on Red Lake here, and then the 2 new ice jigs. So make sure to like, comment, and share. And then also a 6-inch synthetic ultra, right, bro?
Scout. And thanks, Nick.
Scout from Razor. So
yeah, and Richard. That it's just awesome. So people can see it, and they'll be forever a customer, because they're going to want every size there is. So Razor is going to be giving away an auger, and they're out fishing. They're having a good time, and I hope they're pulling a fish through the hole. So Sam, it's getting cold. What's it like up over by you there in Bemidji?
We are getting the same cold snap you had. So I think things are locking up really quick here. We're building a lot of ice. It's what we need. So still, I think the area is mostly walking and small vehicle travel. I have not. Red Lake, I think, is in the same boat where they're letting ATVs. I haven't heard anything about vehicle travel up there. But with the weather conditions we have this week, we're going to build a lot of ice, and then temperatures are going to get beautiful this weekend for fishing. So
please note, everybody, if you don't drill, don't go. I don't want to hear any more four-wheelers or people going through. We have less bad news this year. We don't need any. All you got to do is drill. Bring a friend that's hyper on, give them coffee or give them a Monster energy drink, and then give them a razor holes, and then you drive in later. But that's how you find out the bad ice. You just don't drive and go, oh, if we go slow or go fast, we'll be okay. No, don't do that. And if you don't know about ice, don't go, but you can read about it online. So, Sam, I was at the St. Paul Ice Show all weekend, and what a crowd.
How was it?
It was so-so, but you always want to know what the next best thing is. Otter has some great gifts like rattle reels, rod holders, and stuff for your house, and LED lights that are dimmable. But check out this box for holding your sonars and electronics. This is the one, and we got a picture right here. Right there, that is Brad Kolstad, is owner of Fish Armor, and he has designed just an amazing box. Started with a different design last year, but this one's rotomolded and made in America. This one here is rocking. All ready to, all you got to do is put the wires in, plug and play. It's got a 60-inch retractable down rod that is just, this stuff's indestructible. I was just amazed. I was just in awe when I seen this. Fish Armor, if you're looking to mount your forward viewing on something, he's way ahead of the curve. And there it is, finished product. Has lights on both sides, and that thing is built. You can fight off a whole pile of wolves if they're attacking you on that trail going into the lake. But let me tell you something. That is absolutely amazing. And it just snug and fit and easy to put together.
I love it. Looks nice. And you got expensive electronics nowadays. It's important to take care of them when you're out on the ice.
Oh, it is. And so Fish Armor shuttles are just rock. And I actually used it. So I went out and I fished here. And it was last night I could go without gloves. I ain't doing it tonight. That thing rocks. And you can see I'm fighting walleyes up through the ice. They're coming out of the weeds. Just amazing. A nice setup. So wherever you get a chance, look at Fish Armor. Really, I was so glad to get it. And he'll cater to anything you need. The walleyes are biting. Weed walleyes are real dark. But before we go too far, I got a special guest. This guy's a legend, and he has designed some of the best clothing in ice fishing. And yes, he's in Florida, but he comes up fishing with me once in a while. He loves Red Lake, and he likes the cold, and he doesn't want to come if it's warm. So Tim Mossberg, owner of Fish Monkey Gloves, and he's Hunt Monkey, and he also has the socks. Welcome aboard.
Hey, guys. Sam, bro, good to see you guys.
Yeah, good to see you. You're getting cold, a little cooler weather, but as we talked earlier, 50s. But to me, I'd be wearing shorts, and they'd probably think of us from Canada down there.
Right. Yeah, well, 50s is cold for us, especially with this north wind. I think what it's doing is blowing from you guys down here, so it warms up a little bit, but it's pretty cool. You know, we're freezing a little bit on the weekend, so it's getting there.
And then when you go hunting, you hunt up towards Georgia way, and those temps get pretty low.
Yeah. I was hunting last week, and we got a lease in South Alabama, and it was 27 degrees the other morning.
I love it.
One morning, and then 22 the other. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot cooler there. It's about 3 hours north of us right here. So.
That's it right here, right now. This is a perfect place to test gloves. And
yeah.
I got to tell you, you've designed some really nice gloves. And Sam, what are you wearing tonight?
Yeah, so I brought my favorite pair here, I think, for ice fishing are the Tundras. So for me, they're just a good all-around glove. They keep you warm. They have the retractable mitten tops, so you can tie on jigs and whatnot. This works when it's 28 degrees out, and it works when it's 5 degrees out. It's just a good, really versatile glove fishing. So I know a lot of times we talk about the extreme ends on this show with the Stealth Dry Techs, which I love, and then the Yetis, which are incredible. But an all-around glove, these Tundras are my favorite by far.
Excellent.
And then I like these. And whether you're a Marvel comic fan and you think that the Nightcrawler should have fingers like this was a cool design. This thing is for running and gunning. and it's never warm where I'm at. So these are awesome, and they're Sherpa. Can you explain to people what this is actually a mitt that probably could be good for hunting because it's got the finger, but I love that when you're putting cracked fingers in there, it just feels good.
Yeah, no, we started using that Sherpa more in the last couple of years, and you're right, it's just so comfortable. I came up with that Sherpa liner, sitting in a deer stand. For us, we sit in a deer stand for about 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the afternoon, and I wanted a glove that was super quiet. So it's not that particular one, but we started using a Sherpa lining inside because, again, it just keeps everything dead silent. And so as I developed that on the hunt side, I said, man, this would work great on the ice side. And also that's a good cold weather bass glove because you can flip those thumb and index finger back, right? It's got the little magnet stays in there. So if you're really in a tight, you can still throw a bait caster with it, right?
This magnet is really strong.
Yeah. So it turned out to be just a phenomenal glove. And anytime, obviously, you can have a mitten style, it's going to keep your hand a little warmer because you've got the warmth of your other fingers kind of working all together. So man, that's turned out to be a great piece for us.
I feel like inner material too really affects when you put in like slightly damp hands. It's never good. You reach in the minnow bucket and you don't want to dunk your hand right into your glove. Right. But I've noticed with a lot of the Fish Monkey stuff that the inner liners, they have a way of staying warm even with slightly like damp hands and whatnot.
Sure. We use some liner material that's actually more of a self-warming, or it's called a health liner. And so it does pull some of that moisture off your hand. Yeah. So it doesn't just give you that clammy feeling, or if you take a wet hand and put it in, it's not just keeping it sopping wet the whole time. So
yeah. I love the PVC grip on all the gloves.
Yeah.
In the cold weather, if you're in a boat, you don't throw your rod out of your hand. And then for winter time, everything gets so slippery. It's just a fantastic idea. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Bro, you were so much inspiration on the ice stuff. You got me on track, coming up with the Yeti concept, and we kind of took that idea and what we could do to make it better. And so we did. And obviously that's been a phenomenal success for us. That put us on the market in that ice category. And that continues to be our number one seller for ice.
This is the best ice fishing glove I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The way it's built, and because people, they probably don't want to hear every stitch count, but I love this technology that you have in here. Could you explain to people what that is?
So that's called a thermoconductive liner. So that's basically any of the gray lines you see there is a ceramic dust that is impregnated into the fleece fabric. And so the ceramic dust acts like a rock does next to a fire. So it heats up, but it's using your hand heat. And basically that dust is throughout the whole liner of the glove. So it just transfers that heat, meaning that your hand doesn't have to work as hard to keep the glove warm. And therefore you've trapped the heat, it stays warm. And by doing that liner, you cut out all the bulk of a heavier insulated glove where they're putting, heavier cotton, heavier insulation materials in there. So making your fingers useless, basically. So in this case, you can still use your fingers and have good dexterity, but superb warmth with it. So it's a great product.
Well, and then this leather palm.
Yeah.
And Sam was probably going to talk about that just now. Just amazing, even when it's below zero.
Yeah. That we use goat leather for our palms because it's a softer, supple, more material, but still very, very durable.
Yep. And you guys were talking about that glove before the show. We were talking a little bit about using that glove for riding out on your snowmobiles, four-wheelers. And I think for sure that's the one that really shines. Like I said, I love these Tundras because they, in the cold temps when you're out fishing and not in the elements, they still keep you really warm and you're nimble. But when it comes to having your hands up, getting pounded by wind, those Yetis are the ones you want on your hand for sure.
And these are waterproof. Waterproof and thinsulate.
Yeah.
You gotta love it. And very safe because they reflect. You got snowmobiles flying across the lake and stuff. It's very active on the ice in the wintertime because if you don't go on the ice, what do? You go south.
Right.
Right? So I love it. But this is probably your number one seller here, I think, is the woolies, right?
That's correct. Yeah, Still's our number one selling winter glove. And we came out with a flip top mitten version of that. And unfortunately, I don't even have one because they all sold out. I mean, we
That's a good problem to have.
and we didn't know how well they would do, so they got in our dealers' hands and they were like gone in a month. It just vanished, So
I love it.
So that'll be a big hit for next year. And like Franks and those guys brought them in, and I met with those guys last week at a show, and they were talking about how well that wool product just does. It's just like, it's just perfect. You can almost make a living off the wool glove.
You could, and their place there, they have shanty days this weekend, and they're going to be so busy, but they have every house out there, and they're going to have Fish Monkey gloves, and they're going to sell out of all of them. They sell piles.
Yeah,
they have the best prices I've seen, but I can't list what any of the prices are online, obviously. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about, though, because I think it's a success, are the Fish Monkey socks, made in America, and I like the toes are nice. It has a good footbed, but my feet ache after a while wearing all these odd boots. These things actually make your feet feel good. They got compression all around.
Yeah,
and those are amazing. I think all the stores should have these because they are simply the best sock, and that's 100% American wool, isn't it?
that's correct. Yes, 100% American made. We've partnered up with the oldest sock mill in America. They've been active for producing socks for 109 years. I mean, these guys know socks, and we sat down with them over about almost a year period back and forth and designed what we have, it's turned out to be the most detailed line of hunting and fishing socks there is on the market today. It's not just a regular wool sock. It has details added to it that's compression fit, takes away ache out of your legs, a wide gore heel so it won't twist, seamless toes in them, denting panels in the lighter weight stuff, extra cushion throughout. And matter of fact, we were at this show last week, and I discovered, I didn't realize it, my bad, but we actually make the heaviest weight sock on the market right now with that Yeti heavyweight. So
I love it. This is my favorite sock. I mean, it looks like a boot the way it's sitting here.
It does look like a boot. And
I love this, and you can't wear them out.
No,
that's the problem. People are going to buy these, and it's going to last forever.
Right.
Made in America. So
listen, we've already heard they're passing them down generations. They last so long.
Yeah.
Well, and how many times do you hear of people doubling up wool socks, to go out fishing? Now, that thick Yeti, you don't need to do that anymore because you have everything you need right there. So,
yeah. They're working like a champ, and I use them again, even though it's not -1 here, but like in the deer stand the other morning, it's 20 something degrees. You're sitting there for 3 hours out of whack, motionless. Your feet are going to get cold if you don't have something good. So
yeah, and I think I talk about it a lot. Your hands and your feet are the first things to get cold, and that's the first thing that's going to want to make you go in. So whether you're hunting or fishing, everyone thinks about buying the expensive jacket and the expensive bibs and whatnot, but really hand and footwear are almost more important in my mind because it's always the first thing to get cold. And it's always going to make you think you want to get out of the tree stand or back into the warm fish house. So if you can get something that keeps you out there longer, it makes it all worth it.
Right. Absolutely.
And so Tim was up, we fished Red Lake a couple years ago. And so he caught walleyes out there, and we're out there below zero. And that lake continually kicks out fish, so I got to get you back up there again, or some local lakes. But he had a ball. He loves ice fishing, and that's just it. I think everybody likes to see it. It's kind of a no matter what your climate is. I have people that come from Louisiana, Florida, Missouri, all over Missouri's cold though. I mean, they get ice too, but it's always awesome. And so. As far as gloves go, anything new you want to debut here, or is that anything new on the horizon?
No, I mean, so our glove line's doing great. We've obviously added a lot to our hunt line, so that's doing well. But we did come out with something new for this year, and again, it's just been a great product. So it's the wool gloves have done so well, so we're now doing a rack
Ooh,
wool beanie, and it's a
love it.
super heavyweight one, so it gives you that same benefit as the wool gloves. Traps the warmth, breathable, antimicrobial, just every good property that you have in a wool glove. So we developed it in a couple different beanies, and they've done very well this year. But again, I tested them all last year again in the deer stand, because that's where I get the coldest, right? And so it just works like a champ. So we're real excited about that, and we've seen a good sell through with our dealers so far. The feedback has been great. So yeah, that was our new kind of addition for winter 24. So we'll continue that for winter 25. So.
Oh, I love it. And I don't even take my gloves off when I'm baiting a hook. There's a lot of times I'll be fishing outside and I'll have clients in a warm house, but I still have to keep looking because they literally catch every fish under the house. So we're constantly moving. And so I'm outside and I wouldn't have any fingers left if I didn't bump into you. So that was a great, great thing. And warm fingers, warm toes, now warm head. But one thing I've noticed is the gloves and the socks especially, they don't wear out even wash after wash. And there's something to it. There's more to it. What keeps them together like that as far as elasticity? Because I noticed these are almost like medical socks for your ankles and your feet, and that's what I want to get into more.
Yeah, so it's it's just really the quality of machinery that our mill uses. That each machine is about an $80,000 machine. They're made in Italy, and they just produce a high quality product. In addition, we're using the best yarns, both your merino wool, which is a high end wool, softer wool, and then your higher end synthetic yarns for we use polyesters and spandexes for stretch and fit, and it's just a better quality made product. Matter of fact, our socks are made so well that they're satisfaction guaranteed for life. So, and you won't wear them out. I mean, it was funny. I had somebody wearing a different pair of socks the other day, and they said, "Yeah, these are good socks, but I got a hole in them." So I said, "Well, here, try these on. I don't think you'll wear these out in a couple different seasons." So yeah, they're just great product. And what ends up happening is you're not wearing it just, when you're out hunting and fishing anymore. You're using our lightweight stuff as your daily sock, because they truly do make your feet feel better at the end of the day, especially as we're getting older, right? Your legs are beat up, your feet are beat up. If you wear a good quality pair of socks, it takes away a lot of that foot fatigue that you're typically experiencing.
Oh, even the summer stuff, Sam, you've seen those. Have you used them?
The summer gloves?
No, the socks.
I haven't used the summer. Cool. Not yet, but no. I love all the Fish Monkey stuff, so I definitely need to put in an order for some of those new socks.
They're short socks, and I wore them all summer. You take them out of the package, that's all there is to them.
Okay.
But your feet don't sweat. They get cooler with these on. So I don't know how that works. But in the summertime, when we're in 90 degrees, we get extremes up here. We'll be in the 90s. It's like a jungle. And then now it's minus 11 with 20-mile-an-hour winds, So, but those socks are awesome in a boat. I can't even believe how good they are.
All right.
Tim, we got a question about sizing, of asking sizing for your gloves. I see you have a size chart on your website. Is that the best place to go to look for them? Is sizing really important for gloves for keeping it warm? Or...
It is. And so what we've done, we skinny up our thumb and index finger on both the fishing and the hunting gloves, the winter stuff, so that you have greater use and dexterity, because you can go out and get a snow skiing glove. It's not going to work good for fishing. It might keep your hands warm, but you have zero dexterity. So you can't, zero rod management, right? So you're ended up pulling your gloves off. So everything we produce on the winter side, we focus a ton of attention on that thumb and index finger sizing, so that it actually works in conjunction with what you're going to do with your equipment. So, but yeah, that glove sizing chart will cover most what you need.
And that's just for the listeners, just on the website, and you scroll down a little bit, and there's a size chart, and I think it's under every single product there. So
yeah.
A lot of questions too here because they're wondering, and we know Frank's has them there in Linwood, so you could order stuff from Frank's. You could order an otter from Frank's, and it gets shipped right to you. And I can't tell you the prices; they're just unbelievable. But so they're wondering. Frank's Great Outdoors, is that the best place? Or that is the best place to look. But I think Timberline's carrying Fish Monkey too, so that's good. And then they want to know how long you've been making the summer socks.
So we've been in the sock business now. This is our 3rd year. So we're still fairly new into that category, but we've already seen just a tremendous acceptance for the product, because the reality is there's no other high-end sock brand that's made in America, or high-end sock brand period, that focuses a product design on the hunt fish person, right? Most of the higher end socks are made for hiking or jogging or pickleball or whatever, right? And they're not taking all the things into account that we need them for. That's why we have extra cushion in the heel and toe and the lightweight. That's when you're on a boat, you know how it is, you're rocking back and forth, jarring, from wave action, etc. And your feet are exhausted at the end of the day. You don't know it till you sit down. You go, man, that sure does feel good to sit down. Well, that's because your feet are fatigued, right? So the idea is produce a sock that takes the shock out of that, still light enough weight that it breathes well, keeps your foot comfortable. It wicks away the moisture, so you're not keeping all that moisture in your feet. They're antimicrobial, so you actually, it used to be you could smell a sock to see if you've worn them. Yeah. These, you smell them, you go, I'm not sure if I'll worn them or not. So you kind of put them back on and go at it again. So you cut out a lot of the problems that you encounter with a traditional cotton or synthetic sock.
Well, and that's, as someone was asking, do they feel scratchy? They're not scratchy. They're super soft. So
that merino wool is the finest yarn. It's not your traditional rag wool material like the gloves are made of. It's a softer, more finer. It's one step below a cashmere. You wouldn't want a cashmere as your material because it's not sturdy enough, but a merino is the perfect material to make a sock out of.
Yeah, it's a super success there. And so as far as socks go, what I've noticed, and I probably don't have the best boots, but I don't even get cold feet anymore. I used to get cold toes. I've actually had frostbite because I've been out in 40. The coldest I've been is 62 below, and I probably shouldn't have been out there. But I got to tell anybody thinking about it, good place to start is look at Frank's Great Outdoors, and they have a great website, so check it out. And but as far as socks go, here's something I got to say. As a pro fisherman, I have Fish Monkey on my hands in the summer when it's flat calm and the sun's beating down. It's good skin protection. We never thought about that up here. You always seen that in the Keys. They get intense sun, but we get a lot too. So Fish Monkey, the sun never sets on the Fish Monkey brand is what I'm saying. You always got it. If you're a pro fisherman, from winter gloves to winter stubby guide gloves to the socks, love it. It's just fantastic, and keep that coming. Anything else you want to add here in the last couple of minutes?
No, just we really appreciate everything that you guys have done in the northern market for us. That's amazing. Obviously we have a great relationship with you and Steve and guys like that. So that's been a lot of fun. Our stores up north do a phenomenal job. Great personalities, great relationships, very loyal to the brand, and we're loyal back to the industry. I mean, that we are hunt fish guys. That's what we do, right? That's our living. That's our pastime. So we're not pretending we're in this business. We live this business. So it's been a phenomenal category to be involved in, and a great business, and super appreciative of all the support we get from everyone.
And so you're really they had a liner question, but you really don't need a liner with these socks. They're so heavy. You just buy the sock that you need. If you get the heavy duty ones, you don't need a liner.
No. If you have the right sock, you don't need the liner. You want to keep your boot somewhat loose. You don't want a super tight boot. It's just like your puffer jacket, right? That jacket works because it traps air and your body is warming that air and therefore warms the inside of that jacket. And that's how it works. A good pair of socks does the same thing. That merino wool traps that air around your foot. And if you have too tight of a boot, there's no place for that air to gather. And so, yeah, you want a normal fitting boot and you want your socks to be comfortable, firm fitting, but you don't want to stack 2 or 3 pairs of socks. You don't need that with good socks. And I used to do that 4 years ago before I knew about good wool socks. My whole idea was I buy a bigger size muck boot than I need and I wear 3 pairs of socks into the deer stand, right? Yeah. And then still uncomfortable as all. And then someone said, "Hey man, you're wearing the wrong socks. You need to look at this." And then after that, it was game on, man. It really changed my whole approach to being out in the cold, deer hunting, ice fishing, even bass fishing in northern markets where it's still cold. I mean, you just have a more enjoyable day.
That's what I love. And Sam, he is out in the cold all the time. I am, everybody, but you design gloves and socks for people who fish, not for a mannequin, not right. for someone that's going to go, walking on a sidewalk somewhere warm. You design socks for people who are out there. I mean, these are perfect socks for people in Canada, people in all the ice belt, from Minnesota to New York. And I think it's a great product. Everybody do yourself a favor. Check out Fish Monkey, the product line. They have a ton of stuff, and we appreciate having you, Tim. And it was great to have you on the show. So everybody, thanks for coming on, Tim.
Yeah, thank y'all and happy holidays.
You bet. All right, Sam, we got a giveaway tonight. Tell people what we're gonna do.
I'm proud of you. You remembered right off the get-go. Yeah. So we got a giveaway, Razor 6-inch Scout along with Northland prize pack. We got all the new Northland spoons in there, the tungsten buckshot, tungsten slim spoon, the thumper spoon, and the new rig tungsten shapes. So make sure to like, comment, and share. That'll get you entered in to win. And Brooke will be picking out a winner for us towards the end of the show. So like, comment, and share.
Well, and I got to tell you, that 6-inch Razor rocks. This thing is super awesome. And we're giving away a Scout. This is the Ultra, just longer for deeper ice. I've been using a Scout every day. And it's easier to drill than it is to walk, and it's really nice. So we appreciate that from Razor. Now, Sam, it's time to get hardcore here. Yeah. We got some time to talk about fishing, and everybody knows he's designed lures for many years for Northland, and it's all about trying to figure out walleyes. And I guide for walleyes every single night throughout the winter when I'm guiding. It's walleyes, and we got gin clear water here. If I was on Red Lake, I'd just only fish walleyes, I guess, but gin clear water in the hour of power, or should I say 2 hours of power, is when they really start moving. So we always target perch and then go for, the easy, the low-lying fruit, so to speak. So, Sam, let's talk about maybe walleyes. To me, this time of year, we're just coming off the fall bite, and these fish are going to be shallower. They're hard bottom-orientated fish. But before the minnows dump down off the food shelves and basically shoreline connected points in areas, don't you find that the walleyes are going to be hanging on those young of the year perch?
Yeah. And like you said, early season walleye fishing is one of my favorite times because you can get to most of the spots because most of the spots are within walking distance of shore, finding those shallower bites when those fish come in to feed. They seem aggressive. They're chasing perch, like you said. And a lot of times you can get on a decent perch bite before that prime time window of walleye happens. So what do you look for when you're going out early season walleye fishing?
Well, I always look for weeds, and we didn't have good weeds, but the weed edge it's kind of a jungle everywhere because water dropped about a foot. And so the light penetration was good, but I was using that Wonder Bread color. And I know, hey, Joe over at Frank's is going to be happy. I'm talking about Great Lakes colors.
Yeah, those guys are big Wonder Bread guys.
They got Barbie doll colors, all these different things. But anyway, That's what the walleyes are hitting on. And the water's clear, so they're biting later. And they're coming through the weeds. And I can't tell you why, but I could see them slithering through the weeds. But I'll tell you next week why I could see them slithering through the weeds. And the fish were aggressive. And but I noticed lots of little perch swimming around in the weeds. And when the perch drop down, that's going to change everything. They're going to follow them to those edges. But in our area, we call it the amazing race, early ice. Everybody's racing to hit all kinds of humps on different lakes, whether it's Bemidji, Winnie, Leech. Whoever gets to that structure first is going to have an absolutely amazing day. You just catch fish like crazy. Walleyes in the fall will imprint on a spot. Some spots reload and some spots don't. Some you just got to get there first. That's what we call it, the amazing race. And I see it all the time. People from Bemidji, Grand Rapids, Brainerd, Mille Lacs area, you got to get to the structure because it's not so much like red, the fish just swim around. But when you get there, they're just aggressive. And they'll bite during the day this time of year. But as time goes on, if you pull up to a structure and it's all drilled out and it's been fished a few days, I'd probably go to the next one. You're going to catch fish, but you're not going to get them like the people who are there before you. Then that's because of map chipping. It really helped. And they will reload, but it takes time. But every now and then there is a spot, and I find them because I'm out there all the time, that reloads every day. And it's just walleyes just keep coming through it. And so we're going to get into that.
Do you think that's because they're chasing bait and they end up there, or why do you think that is?
It's they're mitigating factors that create great walleye spots where they come through all the time. And these are the spots everybody wants, but they're not everywhere. So you boil down a lake, like Lake Winnie, there's close to 24 spots that just are factories all winter long. You get on Cass, you get on Bemidji, you get on Leech Lake. And maybe I should just give people the coordinates on the show tonight. No, I'm not going to do that. I need those spots to make it through the winter. But what I see in common with these spots, the spots even under the ice have some water movement. And I think, that's a big thing. So areas where it just keeps coming through, it's not about springs so much. Springs in the summer hold large northern pike, but in the wintertime, that could be an influencer, but you'll know when there's springs in the ice. You'll see bubbles frozen in the ice, and so there's hollow spots there. So be careful. But places that are near the main basin are going to be your spot that you have to really check out. And I don't care if you're fishing Canadian Shield Lakes, if you're fishing Western, Eastern Ontario to Michigan. The most important spots are spots that face the large open water and have a lot of food. These fish right now are shallow because it's not just perch, they're shiners. There's just piles of shiners talking to the pike spearers. They're seeing all kinds of perch and shiners rolling through just big piles, and the walleyes are in there. But they're going to slowly progress and work their way to the offshore stuff. So you can either dive into the weeds or check out structures. And the thing about structures, you find a sandbar that rises and tops out at 20 feet of water out in the basin, and you find the steepest edge using your Lake Master map. That steep edge, the steepest part, they're going to be rolling around that nonstop. So just a few things. And then as far as it goes, Sam, you designed the thumper spoon. Yep. I like that little flicker blade there. Really cool spoon.
Yeah, the thumper spoon gives a ton of action, which leads. I kind of wanted to lead into this with a viewer question. It gives you a little larger profile, a little more action, creates some noise. But when it comes to early ice walleyes, do you like larger spoons or smaller spoons?
I would say I like large spoons. Every lake has a different personality. They show traits that are different than other lakes. There are some lakes that are just easier. I mean, if I go out to Bemidji, I'm going to use the biggest spoon I got. Yep. And if I go to Leech Lake, I'm going to use a big spoon. But if I go to Mille Lacs, Cass, Winnie, I'm going to drop down one size just to get more bites. And they have so much food that you're either going to have to trick them with a large spoon or go to a small one. But the one thing I do notice right now, fish for walleyes the last several nights, is that tungsten buckshot. You can really hear the rattle but they absolutely love the smallness of the spoon, especially on these tougher lakes and some of these inland smaller lakes that are around the big lakes. That one's really good. And I like to I have a whole bunch of Gamakatsu hooks, and I like to take those and I change the size of the hooks. I'm always messing around like that, or add 1 or 2 split rings. I hope someone's listening there, because that's one of my big secrets. If there's a walleye tournament on the ice, you ain't going to miss a walleye with 1 extra split ring. It takes a little bit of time to put it on there, but it's a super great thing. If you got a split ring pliers, it's still complicated, but I'll add a couple split rings, or I'll upsize it, because some lakes have bigger walleyes. Lake of the Woods, if you're out fishing the reefs, getting out there farther, or even the mud in the basin, if you're out there now, there's a good chance you're going to catch a giant. And so I'll upsize the hook a little bit to get around the jawbone, because it's a big mass.
Yep.
Good questions here. And another thing too is different size minnow chunks. Some lakes just want the head. Some want the whole torso, which I call the bloody stump, because it's still alive and wiggling. And how do they know that it's a head, not a tail? You put a tail on it, and it's a long day. Put the head on, they love it. They like the blood in the water. But I've also noticed even the glass buckshots, a whole minnow and a glass buckshot hooked through the nose and down has caught so many walleyes in that 26 to 30 inch for me in the area. I got to say that that is still high on my list.
And it seems, a question about tipping or spoons or leaving them bare. Sometimes on a spoon that has a little bit more action, like a thumper spoon or a puppet minnow, leaving them bare is better. But I would say 90% of the time in Minnesota, I'm fishing with live bait on there.
Yes.
And it seems really important. You can, I had a fish on red take a nip at me, and he got my minnow, but I never really stuck him good. And he hung around, and you could tell he wanted it, but there was just something wrong with it, and he went to it. And that minnow was gone. And it seems like if you lose your minnow, they won't do it. And I don't know if it's that little visual, the little scent, but a minnow definitely can make it and break it. And like you said, different sizes of minnows are huge.
Well, and I always use an iFish Pro, and everybody knows what this is, because you don't have to hand it over hand to tip up anymore. Just put a rod in there, set it, and the flag goes off. I always have a red Gamakatsu hook. In Red Lake, Gamakatsu number 4 red hook. And if it's tough, you go to a 6.
Or purple, apparently.
Purple was so hot. I didn't want to talk about that too much, because
Carl gave that away last week.
They're running out of purple. He sold so many purple. Purple works great. And but that with a little fathead. I like rainbows. I was in a bait shop today here at Mac's Mini Store, and they had rainbows. And somebody was looking at the minnows, and he chose fatheads. And I'm like, you're going to Red Lake, and you're not going to use rainbows? Even a small rainbow. It's not the big rainbows. The small rainbows, you hook them every time. The big ones, they grab and they let go. But
that's so important, because I think, a lot of us just get so in tune to getting fatheads. But especially like when you get up to those bigger systems where they are more bait driven, when you stop in a timberline, ask Carl, hey, what's been the hot bait on red? Because sometimes, red or Lake of the Woods, sometimes it's the emeralds, sometimes it's the rainbows, and they make a big difference. They just swim different in the water. They act different. So it's always nice to have a little mix in your bucket. So ask those bait stores what the hot bait has been.
So this is a St. Croix CI rod. They got all these different rods, and this one is the perch eye spoon. But I'll use that at red. And see that little, this is a smaller spoon. It's got red on the back. This is the slim spoon. It's tungsten, and it's real tungsten. So it's so heavy compared to all the composite and half lead spoons out there. This is the real deal. I'm super amazed with how heavy that is. But it's got gold. It's got a little eye, and it's got a red back. This rocks. And in line, you don't need 10-pound tests through the ice. If you're not fishing in South Dakota, North Dakota in brush, there you have to horse them out of the weeds, or out of the brush. Here, even in the weeds, that big fish, I got that fish on 3-pound test, and that was a 26-incher, and it was in the weeds. You just got to take your time. But if you're going to catch a lot of fish, you want a little heavier pull. But this is 4-pound test, and I go up to 5, and so I don't really horse. You don't need to horse them out. You don't need to do any of that unless you're in brush. Like willows are super great place to fish. If you're out west in the Dakotas, a lot of times we found walleyes where the willows grow on the edges of the swamps, and you just got to look at it like, where's the old shoreline, and then fish your way back. And all that brush that was there, the thick brush holds fish. Get on those edges and then go heavy, But out here, you don't have to. They got nowhere to go. Lighter line catches fish, even on Lake of the Woods. And so just take your time at the hole. And if we could say one thing that everybody's doing a lot right, but if there's one thing I say they do wrong all the time, they get a fish under the hole, and then they panic, and they pull. They want to get that fish up there, and they just rip the lips off that fish. Because sometimes you just got a little bit of skin. You got to, at the hole, you got to let them take their time, then bring them up. And if it's an eater, gaff them or whatever. But I don't have to do that. I just take my time, and you're going to lose very few fish.
Well, especially with that light line, you get to fight them a little bit more. So it's a little bit more fun, but it wears them down a little bit too. So when you get to the hole, I see a lot of people, especially on Red Lake, when it's so shallow, you horse them up. And that's definitely the area to lose fish in.
And then I'm using a Sunline FC Ice.
1 pound.
Well, and I do have 1 pound. If I get in those situations, we're going to make fish bite no matter what. And, we talked about this last time, how the access is full of people and they all have forward viewing, or most of them, and they still come in skunked and they're yelling at the people checking for weeds. And it's not their fault that they didn't catch any fish. So forward viewing doesn't mean people catch fish. But Sunline in the wintertime, if I get an emergency and I've had perch get really tough. I fish, Devil's Lake, Gogebic, Cascade, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pound tests. But Sunline is way ahead of the curve. They might be hard to get, but you can find them. Frank's Great Outdoors has them. You can order it online. And FC is super high quality fluorocarbon, because fluorocarbons come in different qualities. So if you see something that's, that it looks like Sunline and it's not probably high quality, because they're high quality. They're above and beyond. And you can get that a lot of different pound tests. But remember, if you got a lot of lines to do, you could also consider FC Super FC Sniper. That I could do several reels and use old line as your backing. But that's super important. And I want to show you something here, Sam. I have pictures of this, but this is Arctic Armor, or Fish Armor. I'm sorry. I'm going to bring that up to the camera. There it is. This is the best unit I've ever seen as far as holding your depth finder. And I just met the guy at the show, Don Kolstad, and he has down rods. I'm telling you, you could take down a polar bear with these things. This is super designed, super well. And the whole thing is when I was turning it last night, it just turns. You just touch it with your pinky and that thing just turns. And so if anybody needs a box, you want to take that graph off your boat and put it there, take your Humminbird, your Solex, your Apex, or anything off and put it, make sure to check out Fish Armor and get them before they're gone. So let's get into another category, perch. And I know you love fishing perch with me. We go out, we shoot a lot of stuff. They're absolutely delicious. And there's a lot of times you don't need to change your spoon. You can use big spoons. One time we were on Leech Lake and we had some guests, some Michiganders, Joe and Brian, and came out, and
those guys opened up my eyes to what kind of spoons these fish would eat.
They were using some giant, way bigger than this, like
makes the big thumper spoon look small.
Yeah, and I said that isn't going to work, and right away smacked the biggest perch of the day on it, and it had it inhaled. So you got to think outside the box when you're fishing perch. Perch roam flats, so flats are key. Places just past where you can spear. And usually, typically, every lake that has perch. The perch are moving through some of the areas at the same place where the people spear. They're in the shallow, hard bottom weeds. So Cara is a great vegetation for this. But let's answer some questions here. If you can get a larger spool, you can't get a large spool of FC, and as far as perch size, Mille Lacs is fantastic, and that's the whole thing. I don't guide there, but I'm going to be driving there because the action is going to be good. I couldn't believe how it was last year, and it's slightly under the radar, but it's a big lake, and it's full of perch, and I think people are going to have a great season there.
Bro, how do you target, because perch are a fish I think you kind of have to find and drill some holes. How do you target a moving school of perch on a flat or whatnot? Are you drilling a lot of holes, carefully looking with your forward facing, finding pinch points where they roll into?
Well, here's the thing. It's different, say, for Leech Lake versus Mille Lacs. Mille Lacs, there are some perch shallow, and they'll stay there for a short time. But the mud flats are absolutely full of insect life. There's thousands of different types of insect invertebrate in that lake. There's several different types of chironomids and mayflies. It is just nutrient rich out in the mud, and the perch are in areas hanging around the mud. So you might open up a mud flat, and the mud flat out there is as big as a small body of water here. And they'll just be on one spot of it, but it'll just be a tornado fish. Where here, weed lines are super important. Cabbage is awesome. Where that hard bottom meets cabbage is the best. So everybody's like, well, if you're just in this giant jungle and you're hammering fish right here, why are they here and not over here? Because there is sand here and there's mud there. And that transition line holds fish all year. And it starts out, basically the perch, there's a giant, like, slow moving migration on Leech Lake that starts basically in the center, and then they just kind of spin out and they end up in all the weed beds and they move on. And if you hit that school of perch, it's unbelievable. And the same when I was fishing Cascade, everybody's hitting one spot and it's just loaded with perch, but we're off fishing areas that would be better for trout, and we're catching giants. And you don't get as many, but I think they're keen on a different food source, kokanee. But on Mille Lacs, there's so much food and a lot of tiny stuff. You got to have spoons, dropper rigs, and all that kind of stuff up there. And, smaller spoons, green tiger, all these different, pink tiger, good. And you could tie dropper lines. A short dropper line to a small mud bug head would work really good, or plastics. When you get to Mille Lacs, and don't think natural all the time, because sometimes they like that citrus color. This pink would work there, and a lot of different things. But on Leech, they would just eat all of them. That's why we go with a big spoon, because you'll be digging it out of the fish. And but some good questions. There's someone asked about OnX fish. I'm trying to use it. I couldn't quite get on my phone, but they're working on it. I can't wait to use it because to be able to have maps and to be able to have all the stuff that the DNRs has here and in Wisconsin, to use it as research, as history. It has, basically it's like Google Earth. It just got everything on there. And I love the hunting app. So it's just one more thing that's going to help you. Oh, and then someone asked about the bro bug. You darn right I got a bro bug. I wouldn't go anywhere without a bro bug. Best perch lure in the world there. And I do use it for sunfish and crappies. And but perch are obviously, they're like, how can we say, they're like corn of the fish world in the winter. They replace each other with sheer volume, and it's a fish that's harvestable, and you don't have to worry about too much.
It's hard to let a good jumbo perch go.
They're so good, and it's not my fault that they taste so good.
Yeah.
But I do love walleyes. There's nothing like getting a good bend in your rod right at dark. But we're getting close to a giveaway here. Any more questions?
Yep, we got one about auger size. So if you want one, or I think if they said one general auger size for panfish and walleye, I've always preached that the 8-inch auger is the Minnesota auger. But what I love about razors now is they're so affordable. I've found myself with a wall of augers. You buy some sort of drill, to get it, do the business of it, but then you have a 6-inch that if you want to take out for perch and panfish. I got a 7-inch last year that I was able to still land some bigger fish in, but it was a little bit smaller to be able to hike in, fits with some forward-facing sonar, transducers. So having a wall of augers is kind of cool now, but 8-inch I would say is your number one all-around ice belt auger.
I agree. And then someone's asking about panfish. From the St. Croix panfish combo to this custom CI rods here. I love using these 7 reels. The 750 is small and it really works good in winter. It does not freeze up. And then just use a little tungsten. And this was a great design from you, Sam. That works really good. But we're running out of time. I can't believe it here. But we do have a giveaway book. Before we do the giveaway, I got a few announcements to make here coming up. So I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for supporting the on-air broadcast. Go there, buy a truck, make some friends, get an oil change, and see what's going on. They are so unbelievably good at taking care of stuff, and they're really nice people there. Chesterburg Toyota, thanks for sponsoring us, and Timberline Sports. Everybody knows Timberline. Get a pizza, buy a rod, buy a gun, buy some ammo, get some bait, get some sage advice. Timberline Sports in Black Duck. You're on your way to Red Lake, on your way to Lake of the Woods, make sure to stop there. And then Frank's Great Outdoors in Linwood, Michigan. Remember, it's Shanty Days this weekend, the 13th through the 15th. And that's coming up right now. And they're going to have all the fish houses out there. It's a great event. Frank's Great Outdoors, Linwood, Michigan. Michiganders, you don't have it that bad. You got it great there. So stop in there. Everybody, if you're in that neighborhood, go there. And then, if you need something online, you ain't got time to go anywhere, you can order an otter right online from Frank's. You can get Sunline. You can get everything. Frank's Great Outdoors. And
the Fish Monkeys.
Yep, the Fish Monkeys. Joe and the guys there will take care of you. They're just great people. And just love going there. And Ultimate Sports Show in Novi. Just check that out online. That's in January, so you got time. I'm going to be on hand speaking there. And then, of course, I want to thank everybody for this podcast. But do we have a winner?
We have a winner. So tonight's winner is going to be Joe Anderson. So congratulations.
All right, Joe.
And for all of you past winners, I've been slacking off a little bit, but I'm going to get your information over to Jace and Nick, and they will get that stuff sent out to you. But congratulations tonight, Joe. I'll reach out and get it. And yeah, we got a really hot show next week, right, bro?
Oh, we got
additional giveaways, maybe.
Yeah, we got some great giveaways, and next week we're gonna have, we're gonna talk about the debut of the Humminbird Explorer, and we're gonna have the X2 transducer, and it's gonna be a great talk with the ice fishing brand manager from Humminbird next Wednesday at 7. And also we're giving away an otter along with other stuff, so it's gonna be a big night. It should be really good. If you have any questions, bring them. And I also want to thank Sam, friend of the show, really good researching stuff and doing stuff. Brooke, our producer, Heather, creative marketing, and everybody. It takes a village to do this. But we will see you next week. And don't forget, if you want something, make sure to text us your address. We need your address, not just your email address. And thanks for watching.